Let's just get going, shall we? But before we start, safety first. Always wear long sleeves, gloves, and goggles when you're making cold process soap, even hot process soap, because you're going to be working with lye, and protecting your skin and eyes is the most important step. Okay, so here's our lye. It's also called sodium hydroxide. It's the ingredient that reacts with oils to create soap. On its own, it's really caustic, but once the reaction is complete, there's no lye left. It's just a finished bar of soap. So if we were making liquid soap, we'd be using potassium hydroxide. This is sodium hydroxide to make a solid bar. Put your goggles on, always. So I'm using soap nuts for the water portion of this formula. They're naturally rich in gentle cleansers that help boost lather in cold process soap. It gives the bar a nice bubbly feel while staying mild on the skin. Just boil them in the water, strain, and use that water as the total water portion. And when you're working with your lye, always add the lye to the liquid, never the other way around. In this case, I'm adding my lye slowly into the cooled soap nut water, stirring until it is fully dissolved. All right, we're going to start working with our solid oils first. First up is going to be coconut oil. It's one of the main cleansing oils in soap making. It helps create a hard bar with a nice, rich, bubbly lather, which is why it's a staple in most cold process soap recipes. Also hot process, but for today's purposes, I'll just be talking about cold process. Next, we're going to be adding some cocoa butter, which is going to add firmness to the bar, and it gives the soap a creamy, stable lather. It also brings a touch of richness that makes the bar feel a little bit more luxurious. You can get cocoa butter in many different forms. I buy it in big, huge blocks and just chop it off, but you could get them in small, round wafers, which is a little bit more easily handled. It costs more expensive, to do it that way too. The wafers, that is. Okay, next up we're going to be putting in some shea butter, which helps make the soap more conditioning and gentle. It's going to add some creaminess to the lather and gives the bar a nice, smooth feel on the skin. I am using refined shea butter. I always use refined shea butter in all of my products because I just want it to be pure. I don't want any impurities in my shea butter at all. It's a personal choice. Use whatever you would like. So once all of your butters are in your pot, turn it on to a medium heat. and start melting them all down. Once most of everything is like liquid, you can take the pot off the heat. The leftover warmth, from everything is going to finish melting the smaller pieces. You don't want to scorch your oils. You don't want to put anything on a high heat. Just a low to a medium heat is fine. Give it a little stir just to melt those little leftover pieces, and then you can start adding your liquid oils. Okay, the first liquid oil that we are going to be adding today is going to be our avocado oil, because it's conditioning and it's going to add creaminess to the lather. It's rich and nourishing, which helps make the finished soap feel extra gentle on the skin. Next up, we're going to add some castor oil. It's great for boosting lather, and even in small amounts, it helps create a richer, more stable foam in cold process soap. For the olive oil, I infused turmeric powder into the olive oil, and I used that oil in this recipe. So olive oil makes the bar gentle and moisturizing, while the turmeric gives it a warm golden color and a natural boost. Wait till you see the color at the end of all of this. It's gorgeous. Okay, now it's time to check the temperatures of both the melted oils as well as the lye solution, because you want them to be pretty close in range before you mix them together. Gotta let them both cool down just a little bit. All right, at this stage, I'm going to be adding some BHT, which is your butylated hydroxytoluene. I hope that's how you say that. I'm not really sure. Anyways, I've been using it for several decades now. Anyways, you're going to add that into your warmed oils because it's an antioxidant that helps slow down oxidation and keeps the oils in the soap fresher for longer. I use it every time I make soap, always have. If you'd rather not use the BHT, you can use some vitamin E or even some rosemary oil extract. Now I'm going to be adding some tetrasodium EDTA to the lye solution. This is your chelating agent, which is going to help reduce soap scum and improve the overall lather. There are other chelators out there that you can use in cold process soap. I've always used the tetrasodium EDTA because it works very well in the high pH of soap. Next up, I'm going to be adding some sodium lactate to the lye solution, and that's going to help the soap harden faster, and it makes the loaf easier to unmold. Okay, we're checking our temperatures again to see if we're at a reasonable temperature that we can start adding our oils and lye solution together. Remember, they have to be somewhat within the same range before you start adding them, and you want a soap a little bit cooler. Now I'm going to be adding some honey power because it's going to add a touch of natural sweetness, and it helps boost the lather in the finished bar. So there's our honey element to this turmeric, lemon, and honey. After you add any powers, just give it a pretty decent mix with your immersion blender. Try to break up those chunks. You could also use your homogenizer at this stage. That will do a very good job on breaking up all of the chunks of powders. All right, next we're going to be adding some kaolin clay. This is going to give the soap a silky feel. It helps to anchor the scent, and it adds a bit of creaminess to the lather. Again, use your immersion blender just to make sure everything is incorporated. Get all those little chunks broken up best you can. All right, give the lye solution a final stir. Then we're going to slowly pour it into the oils. This is the point where the saponification process begins. Okay, so now you want to stick blend in short bursts, then stop and stir. And repeat this process instead of blending continuously. Doing it this way is going to help you reach trace without over thickening your batter. So a burst, stir manually. A burst, stir manually until you reach a thin trace. Okay, once you've reached a light trace, it's time to add your fragrance. The blend I am using today combines bright lemon, sweet orange, a tangy grapefruit for a fresh citrus burst. Palmarosa adds a soft rosy green note, while litsea cubeba brings a sharp lemony finish that ties everything together. I start by mixing the fragrance in by hand, and then I give it 1 or 2 quick bursts with the stick blender to make sure that it's fully and evenly incorporated. All right, now it's time to pour the soap batter into the mold, making sure that it's spread evenly from corner to corner. You can finish it by texturing the top of the soap with any design you'd like. This is going to add a personal touch and makes each batch unique to you. If you have any leftover batter, you can pour it into smaller individual molds like I've done here, and this way nothing goes to waste. I finish off by covering and insulating my soap and letting it rest for at least 12 to 16 hours so it can go through the gel phase and set up properly. All right, it's the next day. I unmold the soap. I'm going to trim the edges with a potato peeler, and I'm going to steam the top to prevent any soda ash. These are my individual cavity soaps from the leftover batter that I had. Everything released and came out of the molds beautifully. All the edges are nice and sharp and crisp. So let's go ahead and steam the soap after we cut those edges off. As my steamer is dripping on the table, as you can see there. Using my multi-bar soap cutter, I slice the loaf into individual bars. Can't talk today, tongue-tied. Once again, it's Sunday. I don't know why I continue to work on Sundays. I shouldn't be. Should be resting. Even the Lord takes a day off. Here they are. Look at that color. Come on now. Is that not gorgeous from that turmeric? Look at that. It is not too dark. It is not too light. Look how creamy everything looks. The colors have been distributed evenly. There's no speckles of anything anywhere. It gelled perfectly. There's no, gel ring in the middle. Everything came out perfect from start to finish. Gorgeous bar of soap. Very pleased. And I can't even tell you about the smell of this, you guys. Whew. Wish you had smell-o-vision. So after you go ahead and cut your bars, you want to let them rest for a minimum of 4 weeks. And this gives them the time they need to harden and become a longer lasting, milder bar of soap. This particular batch is going to be available to my saponification station tier members at the beginning of October.